Welcome, everybody, to the Last Call podcast. I'm Jeff, and that's
Chris,
Chris. Am I pointing the right way?
I don't
Yeah,
know. You always point
over
around.
here.
Just not point up and down. We'll know. Yes.
Yeah. He's on the
All
West
right.
Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Hey,
Yeah.
Chris, guess what?
This is your show tonight. I know that. Old
Let's do this.
line. Old line.
Oh. Let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, for the next episode of the Raiders Last podcast. Last call. Oh my God!
Yeah, it's been one
It's
of those
like I
days.
need the last call for the night already. Holy shit! I don't even drink.
It was a long night last night.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it. We were on for we hit what
Seven and a half hours.
7.5, almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were pushing close to 8 hours last
Well,
night. So
like
an
a
8 hour long show last night we pulled.
That's like a
Wow.
working day, man. She could
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yeah.
With no breaks.
No. It was fun though. We had a good time last night. It was a great show.
Gravy was cool.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time just Chris and I plus Gravy last night. So it was a hell of a good time. We talked about anything and everything as usual on a Friday night.
That's what it's all about.
What the shows end up turning into. So tonight, for your history lesson, children.
Get your notepads out and your pencils.
Yeah.
We're
going to be covering. We're going to be covering the history of the offensive linemen for the Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas Raiders through the years. We're going to hit obviously the legendary guys. We're going to hit the notable, respectable players that we had, and then we're going to obviously cover the busts and downright awful picks.
The trash.
Yeah.
Gotta take out the trash.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We'll be cleaning house and getting rid of some of the trash tonight. So before we get rolling here, let's take a look at the chat, see who's in here. So we've got Raider Paul. What's going on, Raider Paul? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Raider Paul?
Sacktown Mike in the house. What's up, Sacktown Mike? How you doing, brother? Let's see. Oh, that's Chris. That's you. Yep. What's up, Gord? Gord is in the house. Raider Ryan's here. What's up, Raider Ryan? Moval. What's going on, Moval? How you doing, brother?
Good, brother.
Matt's in the house. Matt Marinovich. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Oh,
Raph is watching. What's up, Raph? How we doing tonight? So, I'm surprised Jack Kenna's not in here already chanting Jim Otto. Everybody knows how much he loves Jim Otto. Otto's his guy.
It is. You would think they were brothers.
So, I was thinking about how to start this tonight. Do I just start with?
I was thinking, do I go to the 1960s or go backwards?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, do we do we start with like the legendary guys? Do we start with just going by position? Like, do we cover the guards first, then the tackles, and then end on center? Do we just go year by year going through this? So I still don't know how I really want to start this, but because I don't want to just. I know, and then Matt just said it too. The show must start with one man, and that's Otto. So if that's the case, then we're starting from 1960 and going to work our way up. But the good thing is, a lot of those legendary offensive linemen are going to be in that early grouping that we're going to talk about. Yeah, good thing you just mentioned that, Gordon. I want to bring that up real quick too before we get rolling. We haven't covered that position yet, but we will probably in the next few weeks. As everybody I'm sure knows by now, Derek Carr announced today that he's retiring from the NFL. There's a possibility that he could come and sign a one-day contract and retire as a Raider.
That'd be nice. I wouldn't mind
some
that.
People some people are in favor of it. Some people don't like the idea.
I'm in favor of it for one reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
He played most of 90% of his career with the Raiders. He did what he could do for what he had to play with. The coaching, he got so many coaching changes, offensive coordinators. So he did have to do. He had some good years, but didn't take over the hill. So I'm not mad at that. He can come back and retire. He's a Raider.
I mean, he's definitely solidified himself in the history of the NFL and the history of the Raiders for sure. I'm all for it.
Me too.
If he gets released from his contract or whatever, and he's allowed to sign a one-day deal with us to retire and retire a Raider. Because if for whatever reason he does go, I doubt it's going to happen. But if for some reason he does go into the Hall of Fame, at least he's definitely going in as a 100% Raider, true and true.
Yeah, remember one thing. He didn't want to leave. They kicked him out.
He always
I don't want to leave the Raiders no more. They kicked him out. So that to me, that marks once a Raider, always a Raider, because he didn't want to leave.
No, he had no desire to leave this organization.
No.
He himself thought he was going to be here until he was ready to retire. And I think a lot of fans thought that way. I mean, because the fan base was definitely 50-50 split on him. Some loved him, some absolutely hated him.
Yeah.
Whether you liked him or not, he still was the most stable quarterback we had for years since Gannon. And Gannon was only here for a short time. People have this misconception that Gannon was here forever. Gannon wasn't here that long with us.
No.
Derek Carr spent a lot of time here. I liked Derek Carr. I liked his mindset for wanting to be here his entire career. Right. He would have done anything he could to win for this team. It's just sometimes the pieces just weren't there. Yeah, he made some weird mistakes, cost us some games, but everybody has their down days. There's no two ways about it.
That's for any NFL player or any pro player. One day you spectacular, the next day you stink the bed up. So that's just what happened.
Yeah. You know what it is? And if fans have this love affair with players, they either hate them to death or they love them to death. And you see right now with the current situation we have with like Aiden O'Connell. People either love the kid or they absolutely despise him and want him off the team. So Carr's in that same situation. He has been since he was here with us. So like I said, I'm all for him signing that contract, retire a Raider. So
I
hope it happens.
He's also was the very first Raider to start quarterback as a rookie. So that tells you something. He started from the beginning. So Miles will make a nice ending for him. Like, okay, you started from the beginning. Now let's end it for you and retire as a Raider. That's what I say.
Raider Pete's in the house. What's up, Raider Pete?
Hey, Raider Pete.
Jack Ken is here now. What's up, Jack?
Oh, finally.
Jess is in the house. What's up, Jess? My opinion. What's going on? My opinion. How you doing?
What's going on, brother?
I see a lot of people saying it. Yep, for a contract. Jack says, yep, absolutely. Jess is from Fresno. He loves Derek Carr and Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Watch Gino go down in 2026 and Carr comes off the couch. Yeah, I doubt
Right.
that.
Yeah, wishful thinking. Wishful thinking.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening.
No.
Let's see, Raider Ryan. Thank you guys for all your content and live videos. The back and forth conversation has been helping me. My best friend and fellow Raiders brother, Dana Ramirez, passed away last night. Rest in peace, my brother.
Oh,
Lost, brother.
Rest in peace,
Hats
brother.
off. Rest in peace.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that, man. If we bring you comfort, then we felt like we've done our job.
Exactly.
And help you get through this time, and we appreciate you being here. Gord says, "Will Wi-Fi Willie retire?" Yeah, right.
Probably. He had nobody to talk about now.
Let's see. Carr is better than Gino. Not trying to start a battle. Okay, here we go.
All right, Jack.
What's up,
Here we
go. What's up, Isaiah? We're doing good. Doing good. Chris and I had a late night last night. Anybody that just tuned in, Chris and I, we pulled up for 7.5 hour, actually almost 8 hours show last night. We started at 9. We didn't get off until well after 4:30.
1:30 my time, man. And
yeah,
Gravy wanted to keep going. Like,
yeah, Gravy was ready to keep rolling.
I gotta go.
I popped a couple of gummy melatonins because I was just done. I was like, you know what? Once they kick in, that's it. There's no stopping me. I'm like a fat guy rolling down the hill. You ain't gonna stop me.
Man, I was starving last night. I didn't eat dinner. I had to go and eat a quick sandwich right quick. I was like, God, let me go eat.
Let's see. So Isaiah, yeah, rest in peace to.
Yeah.
It was Buddy Benny. Was it Benny? Danny. My God, my bad. Sorry, Ryan. Didn't mean disrespect the name.
Oops.
Wi-Fi will shift to jerking it to Gruden sound bites now that Carr is faded out. Yeah.
He'll find somebody else.
Yeah.
Probably, you know what?
Oh, what's up, John Leon? How you doing, brother?
He'll probably move to Devontae Adams now.
Yeah. So before we get started, hang on, gotta do my shameless plug. Dunkin' Donuts. There it is. This guy runs on Dunkin'.
Brought to you by.
So good.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Ryan. Ryan, you're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother.
That's what we're here for, man. We're gonna talk to you, comfort you, whatever you need.
Yep. So again, tonight, go ahead.
No, I'll say it's all about you guys in the chat and the nation. It's all about you guys. So
yeah, that's why we love interacting with you guys.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yep, that was my promo. Someday I'll get sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts.
I think Jack Kenn's gonna punch me
out.
out.
I'll remember all you little people when I make it big. Don't worry.
I think Jack Kenny.
Chris, I'm done with Chris. Once I hit it big, Chris is out. Next person's up.
I think Jack Kenny's out to get me, man. I can't wait to meet you, man. Like the way question mark.
I think he's stalking you privately.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm not scared now. I'm not even going to Bakersfield because I got to watch out for Jack. He might cold cock me. Wait a minute. You said you're going to dump me? Oh, okay. I just thought about that. That's fine. I'll get my own promo going. I'll be the rival. Who's the rival?
This is our Saturday night history lesson. Tonight we're covering offensive linemen through the years for the Raiders. I know Jack Kenner's got a stiffy going right now because he knows where we're going to start. Jack, you tell me in the chat where are we starting on the offensive line. Who do you think we're going to talk about first? I want to see who you think.
Ask my question. Who's Dunkin' Donuts' white rival? Who's their rival? Like, who's the biggest one?
It's got to be Starbucks.
Oh, hell no. I was going to do the other guys, but no, hell no.
Yeah, go ahead. Pick the expensive company.
I'm not going to pay $40 for a cup of coffee. Hell no.
What, did Jack leave already? Come on, Jack.
He's here. He's excited to see me. A big hug. And look, I'm married.
A big hug when
I'm married, Jack. I'm married. Sorry, I don't know. But anyway. I see 00.
That never stops a stalker. You know that, right? Whether you're married or not. A stalker will not interrupt his game plan, whether you're married or not. It ain't going to make a difference.
Well, my bodyguards come with me anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Oh, double tap. I guess somebody said 00, so I guess we're doing Jack's boy.
Yes. Jack hasn't said it yet, has he? Come on, Jack. Come on.
Jack, come on. Who are we going to start with?
Jack, who are we going to start with tonight for offensive lineman on the Raiders history? Come on, don't let me down.
You pick it tonight.
Don't let me down.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's Jack's cover. He says he's a Raiders fan, but he's really privately a stalker. Right. That's why he's on all these channels. That's why he gets moderators. He gets all this information. He tries to figure out where these guys live.
I live right by you.
That's why he likes it when people put area codes in their names, and guys like Sacktown Mike, he's from Sacramento, But that's why he likes it. Say, I caught on to him.
Jack, we're waiting for your response.
Jack, don't let me down. Everybody else is answering it but you.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's 00. Let's roll.
All right. Watch, as soon as I say the name, Jack's going to be like, that's my guy. That's my guy. Well, there's absolutely nowhere else to start if we're going to start talking about offensive linemen through the history of the Raiders.
You got to start with
and that is none other than Mr. Football himself, Jim Otto.
Rest in peace, Mr. Otto.
Everybody here obviously knows about Jim Otto, knows what his contribution to this team was, how much of a legend this guy is to this organization, how good of a friend he was to Al Davis and to the Davis family, and just how much he meant to Raider fans in general, old school Raider fans, guys like Chris, like myself. Apparently Jack forgot about him because he hasn't mentioned him in the chat at all yet.
He was just a good, honest to goodness, wholesome, honest man, I never met him in person, but I heard people who have met him. And like he'll just out the blue just start talking to you. Like some guys don't do that, but he did. He made an effort to say something to you. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And the other thing that's big about him is the fact that he was the first player picked by the Oakland Raiders. So he was our first player that we ever physically drafted when this team was organized. And he was a staple with this team for, 15 years. He was here, and he was a starting center for that entire time. What's Jack say? Here it is. O-line, my call, Lieutenant.
We're doing the history. We're going through the history.
We're talking the history, Jack. We're going back. You still haven't said who. Oh, my God. You let me down, Jack.
Yeah,
let
Jack.
Me down, brother.
Before we start the show, we said, Jack, come, what you're going to talk about. Yeah,
he hasn't even mentioned his name once. Not once yet.
We're going through the history, so they'll come up probably towards the end of the show, but not now. Jack, you let us down, man.
We're starting with the new guys.
It's like Jack. What Jack did to us, like Christmas Day. You want that present. You see the box. You think it's that's what I want. That's what I want. You open it up and something else.
Yeah,
that's what Jack did to us.
Yeah. You think you're getting like a tablet or something. You open it up and it's fucking socks and a tie.
Socks and a t-shirt.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Ricky says, remember what Madden said. If you open a dictionary or encyclopedia and look up American football player, it should be a picture of Jim Otto. Absolutely.
Exactly.
What's up, Jerome? What's going on,
Jerome? Man? Welcome to the show. Appreciate it.
So he played for one team and one team only, and that was us. He played from 1960 to 1974. He started that string of successful centers with this team. Because if we mentioned this last night in multiple conversations when we were talking about, you look through the Raiders organization, we have not had a shit ton of centers through the years until recently. We had a steady set of centers for a long time, sort of like how Pittsburgh's only had 3 coaches in their entire existence. Whereas the Raiders, we had a single center for obviously the first 15 years with Otto. And then was it Mosba that took over after him? I haven't gotten to that.
Oh,
Mosby? Hang on. I'll tell you in a second.
I had it up here.
No, sorry, Dave Dalby. Oh my God, Mosby was after that. And then we had Dave Dalby for X amount of years. And again, it was that same situation. Dalby was there until, let's see, he was out that year. Yeah, Mosbaugh took over in 85. So from 74, 75 season to 85 season, it was Dave Dalby. Then Mosbaugh took over. And Mosbaugh was there until 94. So 95 season, we had Dan Turk was a fill-in. And then you had Barrett Robbins. And Barrett Robbins was there for quite a few years leading up to the Super Bowl. And then obviously we all know how that went. So you look at that time frame. So from 2000 all the way to 1960, you had Otto, you had Dalby, you had Mosbaugh, you had four guys that played center. Obviously, injuries involves people had to be replaced and such for a few games or for a part of a season. So four different centers in that time frame. That's a long stretch. That's wicked long stretch.
That's over 40. So that's over. Wait a minute. 65 years.
Yep. Yeah. No, not 65. It's 45.
From 1960?
60 to 70, 70, 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 2000. That's 40.
Yeah.
40 years. So 40 years we had. So every 10 years basically was the average that a center lasted for us. But in some case longer with Otto being there for 15 years with us. So let's see. Okay. He finally said it. 22 minutes into the show, he finally says Jim Otto. God damn, you let me down.
Yeah, I'm hurt. I'm devastated.
What's up, Space Beast?
Space Beast,
Akassi's in the house. What's up, AR? How you doing, brother? We just started. We talked a little bit about Derek Carr retiring at the start of this. But we started with the number one guy of all guys for offensive linemen. We started with Otto. So we're still in the early stages of this discussion. Just was discussing on how long we've had centers, the same center for different eras. Yeah, he was. He was right before Marino. That I love talking center. That's just easy. Never mind. I'm not going to go that way. I'll be nice.
Yeah, we're done. You just let us down, man.
1960 is the true birth of football, and Otto was a rookie. Crazy long career. Yeah, definitely. Best center in pro football came out of the University of Miami. Wisconsin native who was supposed to be drafted by the Minnesota franchise, fell apart. 6'2", 205. Started 6'5", 6'2", started at 205 pounds. Yeah, because he was supposed to be. I just read this too. Where the hell is it? I just had this.
I keep losing my stuff. I don't know what's going on. Are you hacking my computer, Jack?
What did you do?
I don't know. Stuff's up here and keep disappearing. Why are you hacking my computer?
What keeps it?
It's personal information.
I just saw this. Where the hell? Oh, right, that's right. It's basically Minneapolis contingent reneged on joining the AFL. So he should have gone to that team, but they did not join the AFL. So by right, it went to Oakland. We inherited their draft picks and Otto's rights. So we, by default, ended up with Otto, basically, but he's still considered the first pick for the Raiders. So just to go through his history with the team and his awards and highlights. So he was a 9-time first team All-Pro, All AFL team member, the first team All-Pro in 70, second team All-Pro in 72 and 66, an AFL All-Star 9 times from 61 to 69, 3-time Pro Bowler from 70 to 72. He's on the 100th anniversary all-time team. And he's also on the AFL's all-time team. He played 210 games, started 210 games. So he was like Mr. Iron Man. He was like the Iron Man before he was Iron Man for football. Unfortunately, we lost him last year. It'll be a year next Monday. A week from this coming Monday will be a year since he passed away. He passed away May 19th, 2024. But as everybody knows, he spent a long career with the Raiders even after his retirement from playing. And he had a slew of injuries. He had over 74 operations throughout his life, including 28 on his knee alone. He's had a leg amputated. He had been through so much, but anybody that I never got the chance to meet him. But you talk to anybody that ever did meet him or talk to him, he was still always upbeat no matter how bad his health was and everything. So I mean, I've got friends that have pictures with taken with them and everything. I wish I could have met him, but I never got that opportunity, unfortunately.
He's what you call an original Raider alumni. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's an original alumni. Like I said, I never met him. Like you haven't. I heard people talking about him, talking about this guy character was out of his world. He'll see you, come up and talk to you. You don't have to chase him down. That's the kind of guy he was.
Yep. So again, we've had a long history of solid center play from 1960 to basically 2000, 2001 Super Bowl year. Meaning, by what I'm saying is we had longevity in that position with the same player for multiple years. So if we go back to the 1960 team, there's really, outside of Otto, there's really nobody that kind of jumps out and says, "Oh yeah, let's not forget about this guy." Otto was it. He was the mainstay on that offensive line. Because the first offensive line we had Otto, Don Manicone was our left guard. Left tackle was Ron Sable. Right guard was Wayne Hawkins, and right tackle was Paul Oglesby. There's only two of those guys that made it to the next season with us. So there was really no mainstays other than Wayne Hawkins was the only one that actually stayed any length of time with us on that front line during those years. Let's see, who else we got here in that one? There's nobody else that really sticks out until, where are you? Bang. 67. So in 67 is when we drafted Gene Upshaw. Everybody knows who Gene Upshaw is.
Yeah.
And then the following year, we ended up with Art Shell. So your front line consisted of, on the left side, you had your left tackle was Art Shell, your left guard was Gene Upshaw, and your center was Jim Otto. Some of you should be familiar with this. Some of you may not. But there was they were called Highway 63. And that was anything that ran off of Gene Upshaw and Art Shell's side. They were known as Highway 63. That was a famous, just like how we've had the CA Hands and the Ghost to the Post and all these different names for some of the plays that we've been involved with. That you're talking about a fixture on offensive line. And that offensive line from 68 once Art Shell got there, from 68 into the late 70s and 81, 82 when Art Shell and Gene Upshaw both finally retired. That's another thing. They both played for a long time, and this is what I've been saying. Offensive linemen tend to last a long time in this league. They're not like running backs where they can come in and they're only going to last like 5 or 6 years. Offensive linemen will last anywhere from 10 to 15, sometimes even up to almost 20 years in the league.
Yeah.
Just because of they're not out there running every play. They're not taking a beat and getting tackled every play. The longevity is ridiculous. So Gene Upshaw, 67 to 81. He was a left guard, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was basically the cornerstone of the Raiders' offensive line. His leadership and dominance earned him a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1987. And that's the other thing. You're talking about 3 guys that all ended up in the Hall of Fame between these 3. Otto, Shell, and Upshaw. And 68 is when we got Upshaw as our left tackle. He was here from 68 to 1982. Again, 8-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer. He was known for his exceptional pass protection and later became the first African, as we all know, African-American head coach in the modern NFL era, which is another staple with the Raiders and Al Davis, with us being such a acceptance into the diversity at that time when it was unheard of for an African-American gentleman to be in a position of power like that, to be a head coach in the NFL or any major sport organization for that part, but we were the first in the NFL to do that. Just like with other positions, we were the diversity, which we discussed when we talked about Al Davis in our first episode,
right?
About how he was a big, what do you call it? A big supporter for hiring minorities.
Yeah, he had the first Hispanic quarterback, one of the first black quarterbacks. He had and then, like you said, back in those days, that's unheard of. It wasn't supposed to be that way. But even in the 80s, when he hired Upshaw, that was still kind of unheard of, but he did it anyway.
What's up, Billy? How you doing, brother?
Hey, Billy.
Where am I going to go back? Yeah. Sorry, I'm just bouncing through so many different screens. I got information all over the place trying to keep everything in some sort of a semblance of order here. What I'm hitting right now is I'm hitting the legends of the offensive line, like basically like Raiders royalty. The next guy that comes to mind when it comes to that, another long stay staple with this team. Now, I'm not really going year by year. I'm kind of hitting the high points right now.
The names,
And this is a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. And someone just mentioned, I think it was, did Jack just say it?
Wiz Neal.
Yeah. So Steve Wisniewski, from 1989 to 2001, he was our left guard. Again, another one, 8-time Pro Bowler, known as the Wiz, obviously. And he was consistent. He was tough.
And nasty.
Yeah, extremely nasty. Some people will say this, when you've when you've listened to them talk on interviews about NFL just did it. NFL Films not too long ago. They have a list of the dirtiest offensive linemen in the league. He's ranked right up there. I think he was like number 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was like 5. He was up there.
He was up there.
Top 2.
He was up
top 10. I know that.
He basically, freaking dog hair just keeps hanging down off my hat, and it's like floating right in my front of my eye. Let's put it this way: if you ended up in the bottom of a pile, you didn't want to be near him if you were on the opposing team.
If he pancaked you, you want to get out of it quick as you could, because you can your eyes poked out, or a loogie. Some say you spin their eyes and stuff. Like,
Anybody that's ever played on the offensive line, that when there's a pile up, whether it's even if you're blocking for a running play and that you end up in the middle of a massive pile, that's your absolute opportune time to take a cheap shot at the guy that you've been going against all game long. To do something to inflict a little bit of pain on him, and nobody's going to know. The refs ain't going to see shit. And what's he going to do? Cry to the ref? The ref's going to be like, I can't see anything, so I can't call anything, but I'll keep an eye out. Good luck.
You remember back in those days, back in those playing in those days, the offensive linemen, or they go down the ground. You never seen one of the Oakland, LA, or Vegas Raiders. Well, maybe I don't know Vegas now, but you never see them put a hand down to help them up.
No.
They'll just look at you, look on the ground, and keep walking. Now they kind of NFL's not changed, but anyway, that's another story. But when one of the guys, if he pancakes you down the ground, he just step over you and keep going.
Yeah. When I played, I never helped anybody up from the opposing team. I didn't give a shit.
No,
I don't like you. I'm not. You use your own energy, expel your own energy, and you get your ass yourself up. I'll help a teammate up on my own. Hell yeah.
Oh. Yeah,
I ain't helping anybody else up from the other team. I don't give a fuck.
Especially offensive line going against the defensive line, they slapping each other, hitting each other, and all that stuff. Like, you.
I've seen him. Obviously, I've seen Wisniewski play quite a bit. But there's only one other guy that I could say and he's not a Raider. He probably should have been. That was probably nastier than him on the offense was Conrad Dobler. I don't know if anybody remembers him or knows of his name. Look him up. It's Conrad Dobler. He was one of the, if not the nastiest. Everybody always said he was the dirtiest player in the NFL when he played.
That's what I keep. I think he's on that list too, but I think he's on the top. My top 2.
Oh, he's number one. He's absolutely number one on that list.
No, top 2. I didn't see a list. I glanced over it, so I know he was up there.
He would be known to basically try and break fingers in a pile up, poke people in the eye, do the old mouth, the fish hook in the mouth, do shit like that. It was a different era back then, and you could get away with that shit. But Conrad Dobler was fucking nasty. Guys hated playing against him. He was in the 70s era, 70s into the very early 80s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, look him up and just see some of the
NFL Films did a documentary on him. Yeah, look him up. You can see it.
Fucking nasty.
And you're gonna watch it, and he's not gonna show everything he did.
Yeah,
because you can't see it because he's on a pile, he's on top of you, and he's doing things. But the other players that was at the bottom of that pile, they'll tell you what he did.
Yep. Let me see.
Jack
is a name.
Jack,
I wanted to bring up, but he's not on my list. Party. What?
Jack said clearing on after party for Baker Street. I can't go because I got a curfew.
Who can't go?
I can go to the after party. I got a curfew.
There it is. This is the one I wanted to look up. This is the one I forgot to bring up earlier, and I should have.
Who's that?
Bob Brown. His nickname was the Boomer. He played tackle for us. From 71 to 73. It was a short stint with us, but he was another good guy too. He was only with us for a couple of years, but
yeah,
he definitely was another one to want to bring up here. So he was part of that line with Art Shell, Gene Upshaw, Jim Otto. He's another one that helped make that formidable defense in the offense in the 70s.
That wall. Yeah.
See, that's the type of shit Wisniewski would do. And actually more Conrad Dobler. That's the shit he would do. You grab a guy right in the rib cage with your fingers and you just start squeezing. Just a little bit it doesn't take much pressure to break a rib. Fuck, you can break a rib fucking sneezing. I've done that. Raise my hand. Raise your hand if you broke your rib sneezing. I broke 2 ribs sneezing once.
I don't know about sneezing.
Fucking hurts. All right. So if now we're kind of like into the 70s, like I said, so we're talking Otto, Upshaw, Shell. Bob Brown was there for a little while. Then a gentleman came along named John Vella. John Vella and Henry Lawrence, they both played together at the same time. They both played right tackle. John Vella, as everybody knows, just passed away recently, just a few weeks ago. I've met him in person a couple of different times. Really nice guy. Was part of our Super Bowl team in 76. Used to own, before they had the Raider image, he owned a sports store that sold Raider merchandise out on the West Coast. I think it was in Oakland. I think that's where it was. He had the store in Oakland first. But he was another he was another Raider great. Not as well known unless you knew of him.
Yeah, he don't play a short stint, so he wasn't.
Yeah,
he was good, but he wasn't with us long enough to get everybody to know.
No, but he was there for the 76 team. Henry Lawrence is another gentleman I've met. Henry Lawrence is an awesome dude. He's got a great singing voice. I will tell you that.
Who, Henry Lawrence?
Oh yeah. Because one of the times, actually both times when we went to New York, no, the first time we went to New York for a Raiders Giants game, and we had a pregame party the night before that we helped set up, and he got up and he sang one song, but first he sang America the Beautiful first. I was like,
Mm.
wow, goddamn, that was actually pretty cool. But I've got his autograph. I talked to him for a few minutes. Now, I mean, I'm only 6 feet even. This fucker, man, standing next to him, I feel like a fucking midget. You know, it's like Jesus.
Only person I met in life like that was Arshell, and I'm only 5'9", so I feel
Yeah,
like a preschooler sitting next to that man. Like, oh, God, okay.
Henry Lawrence needs some notoriety on this because he's another guy that lasted a long time with us. He spent his entire career with the Raiders. He was here for 13 seasons. He was here from 74 to 86. He was part of all 3 Super Bowls.
Wow.
He wasn't a starter in the 76 one, but he did get in some games. But he's got 3 Super Bowl wins with us. He's one of the few that have been with the team for all 3 Super Bowls. So his accolades, he's got 2 Pro Bowls, 83 and 84. Second team All American, first team. Those are college. Those are sorry. 3-time Super Bowl champion. He was here from 74 to 1986. He's still alive, 73. I don't know where he is now. I think he's down in Florida. I think is where he lives now. I'm not sure, but he was a mainstay for us for a long time too. You know, with this offensive line, like again, it's just reads further into what I was talking about on longevity. Um, Now, another guy that we want to bring up that's kind of from that era too, and this brings us back to the center position, um, is when we got Dave Dalby. So Dalby came in 75. Another guy that was part of our 3 Super Bowl wins, which is unfortunate that Otto was already out of the league at this point, because it would have been nice to have won a Super Bowl with him, for him. You know, it's the one thing I wish we could have done, or he could have seen, was a Super Bowl win, you know, as a player with the
Right.
team. Which it was only 2 years after he retired. 74 was his last season.
Didn't he? I thought he worked in the front office after he
He
retired.
did, but that's what I'm saying. As a player, though, after
Player,
everything that he gave and put into this team, you know, it would have been nice to see him get an actual Super Bowl win as a offensive lineman, as this, you know, the center for the team that he had done for so many years.
Because he did set the stage, and he showed how to be a Raider. He was the Mr. Raider.
Oh yeah,
he showed.
Yeah, Gord, super nice guy, Henry Lawrence, super nice guy.
Yeah. So
yeah, he was part of that. Yep. What's up, Daniel Berry? If I missed anybody in the chat, I apologize if you came in while I was, because I'm bouncing from screen to screen, bringing up different players as I'm talking about them. So I'm not really keyed in on the chat right now. So I do apologize for that.
When do a show when I still do a show, you guys see it?
Huh?
I hate show, but I don't like it's popping on the screen. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because we're in the joint one that you and I have.
Okay, you can go ahead. So someone pop in, I'll do it. So that way you can get the facts up.
All right, that works.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. That's what I was referring to. It was John. That's what it was. The locker room, John Villa's locker room. I couldn't remember the name of it, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a sad story to that store, but
that's the store name. Is a locker room.
Yeah, I know the helmet's called wrong, but it looks like an 8, so it makes sense. All right, so we're at Dave Dalby. Again, another guy, longevity, 14 years with us as a Raider. His entire career, from 72 to 85, he was here. He didn't really start until Otto was gone, so he didn't really start until the 75 season is when he kind of took over as the 75 season, as he took over at starter for the center position. Again, another guy that was part of the 3 Super Bowl championships. He only made 1 Pro Bowl. That was in 77.
Right.
But again, another long career. He was here during the Oakland and the LA years, obviously. He was the 100th overall pick in the 72 draft in the 4th round. So another long-term guy. So at this point now, we're 15 years into the organization's history, and we've had 2 centers. And again, that goes all the way up until
85.
what did I say? 85.
85.
So
That's
from 1960 to 1985, which is 25 years, we had 2 centers.
2.
You had Otto and Dalby. All right.
2. Now that's amazing to have 2 guys in the middle.
Yeah.
And you can explain to everybody know the center job is what? They're the quarterback of the offensive line.
Yeah, you're basically the other guy that you call the plays, because the offensive line technically they have their own signals that the center calls out to the other linemen, and it basically lays out their blocking assignments. So they're all on the same page. Because the quarterback calls the play in the huddle, and as they're walking up to the line, the center's first job is to see where everybody's lined up as far as the defensive linemen and the linebackers, to see where they are. And then if they have, he already knows what the play is going to be. Now he needs to make sure everybody knows which guy they're going to block, based on which way the ball's supposed to go. He's the one that calls out the signal. You don't usually hear it because they're walking in such a tight line, walking up to the line. He can call it out quietly, and then they'll know. And if something changes, that's why you'll see sometimes the center when he's down and he's got one hand on the ball, and you'll see him lift his arm up and stop pointing at guys. He's given either a certain code name or a number or something and sometimes they're doing it for bullshit too, just to throw off the defense. It's a mind game. It's a mind game.
They'll call something else. They say, "Oh, we know that signal." They do something else. We got our boy Randy in here, so
unless you're playing Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl and your former head coach is the coach,
they know all those things.
Yeah, and your coach is a complete asshole and doesn't change anything. And when your guy's up there calling out plays and calling out audibles, the defense knows where you're going. So a lot of times so when you see the center come up with his arm and stop pointing, I mean, some of you obviously know what this is. Some might not. That's why I'm highlighting it. He's calling out certain positions, certain players, like say it's Ray Lewis is, at a different spot than what we thought he was going to be at. He's calling that out. Make sure everybody's paying attention to that. He's moved. He's not where not where he usually is. He's in a different spot now.
Yeah.
Make sure you cover his ass type of shit, but not in so many words. It's just code words, numbers, and just all before the quarterback snaps the ball. That's why the center is the only one that can move at that point. He can't move the ball, but he
can point. Yeah,
click like he's controlling a mouse out there. Point and click. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, we're aware of that. You'll be all right, Jeff. You'll be all right. Taking a swig of the Dunkin', and you get your brain back on fire.
Yeah.
So now we have the next center.
Well, I'm just going through the years, so I'm going by the sections too. So, where is he? In 1980, that's when Upshaw finally retired. He was here for the 1980 season, and then he was gone. And Kurt Marsh is who came in as left guard to kind of take over the starting position for Upshaw in the following season. So there really wasn't anybody that stood out. You still had Art Shell, you had Henry Lawrence, and Dave Dalby. But after the 81 season, Art Shell retired. So now we're starting to get into the next group of who's going to come in and play offensive line for this team. Now, Dave Dalby's still there. Henry Lawrence is still there. So you still got your 2 mainstays at this point into the early 80s. Some of you guys may be familiar with this name, but a gentleman that did come in and stop playing left guard in 1983 for us by the name of Charles Hanna. I don't know if anybody remembers the name. If anybody knows the name, you might not know him offhand. You may be familiar with him because he was here for a little bit with us. He's more famous because he's the brother of Hall of Famer John Hanna. John Hanna was a offensive lineman for the New England Patriots. The best offensive lineman they ever had. I mean, the guy was fucking phenomenal. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him at that. He was a Patriot, and I hate the Patriots. but he was an awesome offensive. I would have wished he would have been on our team, to be honest with you. So he was one hell of an offensive lineman. I mean, Jesus Christ, he was. I think he was. I think he was the first. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was the first New England Patriot to ever get in the Hall of Fame. So he was that good. So we had Charlie Hanna. Granted, he was no John Hanna, but he was still a good player for us, and he was in that position for a while too. Actually, let's see, how many years did he go with us? He was here.
Remember, that name doesn't really ring a
84,
bell.
85, 86. So he was here till 86. Then he took 87. Must have been an injury year. So he was here until 88. Charlie Hanna.
Was he?
Then again, we're still with Dave Dalby at this point, but Dave Dalby in 1984 was his last year with us. Mosbaugh was already on the team at this point, but Mosbaugh was playing right tackle.
Right.
So in 1984, when Dalby, after the 84 season, Dalby retired, Mosbaugh then moved over in 85 to be the center. So your offensive line consisted of Charlie Hanna, Henry Lawrence, and Don Mosbaugh. Again, it was not like a very well-known offensive line. Henry Lawrence was probably the most notable out of that group at that time. Huh?
Henry Lawrence and Mosbaugh were the most notoriety of those offensive guys. I remember seeing them.
And Mosbaugh was still fairly new. Henry Lawrence had already been in the league for a few years at this point. You know, let's see, Bruce Davis. Bruce Davis was with us for a while too. Oh, he passed away. I didn't know that. Bruce Davis was playing on the left side.
Left tackle.
Yeah, he was left tackle. I just want to bring him up real quick. Yeah, he's with us from 79 to 87. And then he came back to us in 1990. So he wasn't here for a long time as a starter. Again, you know, look at who was on the team at the time too. So
yeah.
Where am I going here? And then where are we here? I keep scrolling back on me.
I tell you, that's Jack Gannon doing it.
Probably bastard.
Yeah, he hacked our systems. We talk about Otto, and then he left and started hacking us.
All right, so let's go back to Mosbaugh now, because we never really covered Don Mosbaugh here. All right, so Mosbaugh was, again, with us his entire career from 83 to 95. Started 159 games out of 173. He was part of the 84 Super Bowl against the Redskins. It was first team All-Pro in 91, second team in 91, and three-time Pro Bowler 86, 90, and 91. So he had a pretty good career. He was from USC. He was from your school. From your area.
Yeah, I remember.
So he was a first-round pick, the 26th overall in 1983. So he was a high-round pick. You know.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yep.
Yeah, he walked right across the street to the Coliseum from USC.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, I'm here.
Sulu Eyes was up.
Mosbaugh. And then let's see. Henry Lawrence left the team in 86. 86 was his last season. And then we kind of had like a mishmash of offensive linemen. You know, the starting line in 87, which was Bo Jackson's first year with us. It was John Clay, Dean Maraldi, Bill Lewis, Brian Holloway, and then Mosbaugh at center. 88.
Now, okay, let's go back to that. These guys you just mentioned in 87 season wasn't well known, wasn't like big names, but yet we had who on the team, and he still ran through those guys. So they were good for
Yeah.
something. They were good run blockers, at least that. I don't remember seeing them pass block well, but they,
Well, also don't forget during that time frame, and granted, we're not covering tight ends, but even though tight ends are kind of like offensive linemen in a way, extra linemen,
yeah.
we had Todd Christensen then too.
Oh yeah.
So he helped add to that too. As far as an extra blocker, and everybody knows Todd. That was his last year with us actually in '87.
It was. That was his final year.
Everybody knows Todd Christensen was a little fucking weirdo, but he was still a hell of a football player. I mean, we're talking about a guy that would, recite fucking Shakespeare and shit, and it's just fucking weird, dude. But
I couldn't make it. What was going on? No, we dropped him before we played the Redskins. Pete, he came the year before we went to beat the Redskins Super Bowl. Game in '83.
who was that?
Mosbar. Yeah, I thought we drafted Mosbar after the Super Bowl, but no, he came the year before we played him.
Yeah,
'83, and we played Redskins '84.
And the other guy that's of note here too is Bruce Wilkerson as an offensive lineman during that time frame. He was with us for quite some time. He played tackle. He was with us from '87 to '94. Then he went on to play for Jacksonville and Green Bay after that. So obviously he wasn't here during the Super Bowl years, but he started in '87 with us. He played quite a few games too. So I mean, he had a decent career with us during that time frame. So again, we're at 88 now, and again, the offensive line was Mosby, Hanna, Bill Lewis, Wilkerson, and Roy Graves. Now the following year is when it gets interesting because 1989 that is when Steve Wisniewski shows up, and everybody, like I said, knows about Steve Wisniewski.
Yes, they do.
And he's got quite a few accolades here. Let's see. Actually, I'm looking at names that were the year after too. Wait till you see some of these names.
He got a lot of accolades, dude. Wisniewski.
So Steve Wisniewski, obviously his nickname was the Wiz. Spent his entire career with us, 1989 to 2001. Listen to these awards, Jesus Christ!
I'm reading them. First team.
Huh?
I'm reading them. But go ahead.
Two-time first team All-Pro, 91 and 92. Six-time second team All-Pro, 90, 93 to 96 and 2000. Eight-time Pro Bowler, 90, 95, 90 to 95, 97 and 2000. He was part of the 1990s All-Decade team. And he was actually a national champion in college, too. And he was with Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State.
Again, he spent all his entire career with us. He started 206 games, played in 206. So 13 years with the Raiders. I mean, he was
Iron Man.
Not so much the Iron Man part, but just he was such a mainstay with the team and just was such a great player. And it was awesome to see him during the draft this past year, out there calling out the names for the Raiders, in the later rounds, and still carrying on that tradition that was started by Willie Davis with reminding everybody that Mother's Day is coming up. Don't forget your mothers. So it's nice to still see that tradition is
and you can see
carried on.
You can see in his face how proud he was with this to go out there and name it. He was so
oh yeah,
he was energetic. He was so proud to to do it, and deservedly so. And like the chat said, he should have a gold jacket by now. I don't know what's taking so long.
Yeah, he should. He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. No questions asked. Again, one of the greatest offensive linemen in his time, in his era when he played. There weren't too many that were better than him, as far as I was concerned. I might be a little biased, but I don't care.
No, I don't see anybody else better during that time frame.
Now, here's an interesting. I don't know if anybody ever actually remembers this. Do you guys remember Max Montoya playing for us?
Who?
Max Montoya?
No.
I'll take that as a no.
No.
He used to
I
play
don't
for
know.
Cincinnati. He was offensive. He was a right guard for Cincinnati for quite a few years, and then we acquired him. He was with the Bengals from '79 to '89. We got him from '90 to '94.
I don't. They
Um,
don't sound. No.
while he was with us, he made a Pro Bowl with us. Um, he wasn't here for too long, obviously, but he was still here with us. Um, and it was just another veteran guy on that front line. That was here for he played a few years, so he got in. Let's see, 1990. He played in 90, 91,
5 years.
92, and 93.
5 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? It might ring a bell, but I can't think of it right. I don't remember this. Those were really bad years for the Raiders. So
Yeah. Yeah. And if you go through the rest of the team during that era, I mean, there's really nobody that kind of sticks out other than who we've already made mention of, which is Bruce Wilkinson, Steve Wisniewski, and Don Mosbaugh.
that's
And that kind of goes all the way until we get to '94. Um, another familiar name, I'm sure someone remembers, Greg Skrepanek.
I remember that name because the name was unusual.
Yeah, yeah.
Scrapping it was unusual. But yeah, I remember him. And also remember the guy he played next to him was Gogan. I remember him.
Yes, yep, yep. Um, he wasn't with us for too long. He was with us from '92 to '95, and then he came back to us in '99. Um,
Welcome to the
did he
show,
win
guy.
any accolades with us? No, he didn't win. He didn't make any Pro Bowls or anything. It wasn't like a mainstay. Obviously, it's just a name to bring up
Yeah,
as
there's a
part
just
of like this is what we had at that time, basically. Um, Offensive line wasn't the best at that. Well, I mean, it was good because of
it was good.
Mosbaugh and Wisniewski,
Yeah,
but I mean, there was no names that really stuck out like, goddamn. So
Scrapping did.
1990, 94 was Mosbaugh's last season with us.
Right.
Um, so here it is, 1960 to 1994, and we've had three centers
3.
so far. Three. All right. So 95, Dan Turk was our center. Um, didn't He only did the 1 year for us.
Yeah, I
And
know. He
then
was
96, yeah, 96 is when we got we got better on the offensive line. So not only did we have Wisniewski, we had Lincoln Kennedy on the right tackle side, and we had Barrett
at
Robbins
Robbins.
playing at center for us.
Yeah.
All right. And again, now this is the era with the James Jett, Tim Brown, Napoleon Kaufman, Hostetler,
Mm-hmm.
the best tight end in the world, Ricky Dudley. Yay.
Hey, I can't remember. We'll talk about him when we get to the tight ends.
I just saw the name pop up on the roster at that point when I was looking through it. I'm like, this might be
We'll get to
great.
him when the tight ends when we do a tight end show.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll get to Lincoln Kennedy, but I kind of want to hit Barrett Robbins first because there's some shit I found out yesterday when I was looking through on him that kind of like, I didn't know this.
Yeah, we talked about that last night. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he spent his entire career with us from
Mhm.
'95 to 2003. It's funny that he made first team All Pro in the Pro Bowl in 2002.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody knows what he's. Not only was he a great center for us, because he really was. He really was a good center. He was in that long line of starting center bloodline that we had.
I thought he was one of the best centers after he got the Dolby. So it was like that guy. He was
Yeah,
stable. He was always there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he wasn't a bad center.
So in '96, Mike White's last year as head coach, the second year Robbins replaced Dan Turk in the lineup. Okay. At that point, he's becoming only the fifth starting center in Raider history after Turk. So it was Mosbaugh, Dolby, Otto, and Barrett Robbins. Turk only played one full season as our starter. So technically I look at it
I
as we
don't
only had
count him.
four centers in the
Yeah, I don't
entire
count him.
time frame of the Raiders' existence.
If you ain't paid for that past 3 years, you just utility man. So I don't count him as one of the centers. I remember him, but I don't count him.
So here's some things about him. Everybody knows about the meltdown he had because of his bipolar condition the day of the night before the Super Bowl, actually. The Super Bowl was in San Diego. He somehow ended up in fucking Tijuana. When they finally found him, that's where he was. He was in Tijuana. So I'm reading this thing that I found on it. It says, so when he resurfaced that night, he was so incoherent that he didn't even know where he was. According to one of his teammates, he didn't even recognize Callahan. And this is something I didn't know until yesterday. Despite all of that happened, Al Davis still wanted the kid to start in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
He still won him.
And Willie Brown had Robbins running sprints in the parking lot the morning of the game to see if he was even still fit to play. All right. That's how fucked up this kid was. Dang. Didn't even know who his coach was. Didn't even know where he was. And Al Davis still wanted him to play because Al Davis realized that, listen, we're going to put Adam Treyu in there. And if everything goes to shit, this poor guy is going to take a fucking beating.
Well, that's how good he was. Al Davis said, no, we need this guy. That's how good he was.
Yeah, as messed up as he is on whatever it was that was messing him up, plus the bipolar part, I still want him to start the game. It's like, I could just now I've met Willie Brown and I know what he's like in a way. I can only imagine what that's like for him, as far as trying to get out there and getting Barrett Robbins running wind sprints in the fucking parking lot before the game to see if he's even if he's even viable to start. What's up, Ducky?
Hey, Ducky.
It's like, damn. What's up, OC Nation? What's going on, man? So, and then the other interesting part was he came back the following season and still played and made a Pro Bowl. He played all 16 regular season games, making the Pro Bowl. But I think he lasted one more year after that, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, he came back the following year.
Yeah. And then they had a 4-12 season after that too.
Yeah, I think the medication and all that stuff, everything.
Yeah.
What's up on 6?
Let's see. Now, here's where this really got interesting when I was reading through this. So I'm going to read through all this. So after he finally left football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he came back in 2003 with the same line mates, which consisted of Frank Middleton, Mo Collins, Barry Sims, Lincoln Kennedy, and himself. And they went 4-12 that following season.
That was that was the Art Shell grand finale. Bye.
So, and his name was one of the ones that was actually brought up during the whole Balco thing. Okay, so he was part of that with that steroid that they called the Clear.
Yeah.
So even after that, so this is now because in 2004, we released him. So a few months later on Christmas Eve, he was arrested for punching a security guard who tried to keep him from going to a bar at the Sir Francis Drake Hotel in San Francisco. On January 15th, 2005, he was shot 3 times during a brawl with police in Miami Beach and was subsequently charged with attempted murder for his role. Under a plea agreement, Robbins pleaded guilty to 5 charges, including the attempted murder charge. He was sentenced to 5 years probation, ordered to receive treatment for his bipolar disorder, and to avoid alcohol. He spent most of his last decade in jail or in rehab facilities due to problems with substance abuse. He ultimately ended up in a rehab facility in Houston in 2008 and was transferred to a halfway house in 2009. So this guy, and this isn't even the end of it. There's still more to his
he had a downward spiral.
Criminal background.
His mental illness got to him. So, Jesus.
So in 2009, he did an interview with Andrea Kramer that before being diagnosed with bipolar, he had dealt with mood swings by taking alcohol, cocaine, marijuana, and steroids. Um, he said that he had been in a manic mood for both Raider playoff games prior to the Super Bowl. His ex-wife Marissa also interviewed for the story, said that before the diagnosis, there were days where he had breakfast and went right back to bed. In early 2010, a police officer pulled him over near Dallas and found crack cocaine in his car. On March 25th, 2011, Robbins was sentenced to 5 years in a Florida prison for a drug-related probation violation and was released in September of 2012. In August of 2016, it's not done yet. Robbins was alleged to have punched a mother and her daughter in Boca Raton, Florida, resulting in his arrest and 2 subsequent charges of felony battery before being sent to a mental facility. In November of 2020, he was accused of leaving a restaurant in Delray Beach, Florida, without paying for his meal. A restaurant employee followed Robbins as he fled the restaurant on foot. During the altercation, Robbins allegedly threw a rock at the restaurant employee. Delray Beach police were called and Robbins was taken into custody. So, and he's, I don't even, where is he now? I don't think he's still incarcerated. It doesn't say.
It
So
doesn't say.
I don't know where he is right now. But you talk about a guy that went through some serious shit.
Here goes something
You know?
interesting. Here goes something I just posted right now. Look at what it says. Robbins is partially the reason why Greg Papa and Mark Davis had that falling out. Papa did an interview with Robbins in prison.
Oh, wow. Well, there's pictures on, if you go to Wikiform, Wikipedia, there's pictures of him in a prison uniform looking like he's sitting in like an interview. I don't know if that's the one or not. That might be it. That might be the pictures from that. Or it could be the one with Andrea Kramer from HBO Sports.
I didn't know that. Thanks, all lies. Good reporting. I did know that. I know he got interviewed, but I didn't know Greg Papa did it. And
yeah. I remember this, Raider P. I remember this because I remember when it happened. I remember them saying it was like trying to deal with the Hulk, basically. I mean, because the guy was just, I mean, he was so goddamn big and strong. And then you add on whatever substance he was on at the time, plus the bipolar issue.
And all
I mean, good God, you don't know what you're dealing with at that point.
And his blood is pumping up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What's up, on 6? What's going on, man? It's fucking on 6. What's up, Jeffrey Chris? Did you guys talk about one of the greatest blockers in the Raiders history? My girlfriend Myra, she's over here blocking me from finding the love of my life. This fucking guy's hilarious.
Oh, I'm saying something else. I put up earlier. I'm surprised you didn't see it. I like, what the oh my goodness.
All right, so we just covered Barrett Robbins. So I mean, you know, and it sucks too because he was so fucking talented and it was such an instrumental part of the Raiders' offensive success during that time frame. You know, it just, those personal injuries just got the best of him.
Mental illness is not a joke, and they didn't take it serious back then. That now they are, but it's serious.
Yep. Yeah, and then, you know, one of his teammates during that time frame, yeah, this is a YouTube video off of Barrett Robbins at that interview, actually. One of his teammates during all that, Lincoln Kennedy, was there from 96 to 2003, right tackle, 3-time Pro Bowler, was there in that early 2000 run through this, you know, to the Super Bowl that unfortunately didn't pan out.
We know how it turned out.
Now, we got Kennedy from the Falcons. We didn't draft him. So the Falcons had him from 93 to 95. And then they came to us in 96 to 03. And then he went to go play for the Tampa Bay Storm from 2007 to 2010. His time with us, first team All-Pro 2000. This is Lincoln Kennedy we're talking about.
Yeah.
First time All-Pro 2002. Second team All-Pro 2001. 3-time Pro Bowler from 2000 to 2002.
Salute, Jason.
So he, who is it? Oh, what's up, Jason? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, and Diesel.
What's up, Diesel?
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows about Lincoln Kennedy and just how good he was for us during that time frame. And he's still, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he still involved with the Raiders in some
Yeah,
way, or
yeah,
is
he have his own show. He does a thing out the radio studio.
right? Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, yeah. Let's see, what's to say after disappointed. Oh, that's when we can have. That's right, because he did go to work for the NFL as one of the hosts of NFL Total Access. I guess in '05 he attempted to make a comeback with the Dallas Cowboys, but failed due to his inability to pass the team physical. I didn't. You know what? I didn't know until yesterday that he went to the Tampa Bay Storm
That was
in the
that
Arena Football League.
UFL, XFL, whatever it was. Yeah.
But the Arena Football League. He went and played for the Arena team from '07 to 2010. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Tampa Bay Storm was the team that Gruden's brother coached or played for at one time. If I'm almost positive that's what it was.
I didn't pay attention to that league at all. So in the arena, we didn't have arena football. We had a team, but it didn't last long in LA. Let's see here. Huh.
So and then and obviously we already talked about Barrett Robbins in that era too. So where are we here? So scroll back to Wisniewski was here until in 2001 was Wisniewski's last year with us. So in 2002 was the names I called: Mo Collins, Barry Sims, Barrett Robbins, Frank Middleton, and Lincoln Kennedy. And then in 2004, this is where we started to drop off with centers now.
Oh yeah.
Because after Barrett Robbins, Adam True took over, or Treyu took over in 2004, and he was our center from 04 and 05. Obviously, 2004. I hate even bringing this one up.
Well, you got to talk about your favorite player of all time, dude. He's
yeah.
You got to do it.
So in 2004, we drafted Robert Gallery, second overall in the 2004 draft. Obviously, he never lived up to what we thought he was going to be. He was still here for a while, though. I mean, he did last. He did last a few years with us. So he came in 2004. He was here for 04, 5, 6
to 2010,
7, 8,
10.
Yep.
2010.
9. 9 and 10. Yeah. So he was here till 2010. He was here for 6 years.
Yeah.
It just, you know what? When we drafted him, I had such high hope for that kid. I thought for sure we had the next great offensive lineman.
And what you get for that? What you buy?
Well, yeah, I bought the one and only, or the last Raider jersey I ever bought was Gallery's. You know, when we drafted him, I went out and bought that jersey. I figured, oh, this is gonna be great. This is, you know, right up my alley, offensive lineman. You know, he's gonna be my guy. You know, because I'll tell you what, when he was playing for Iowa, he's fucking awesome. And that fucking kid was unbelievable in college. I don't get what it is with Iowa. They have these great kids come out of college, and my God, when they get to the pros, they just for some reason just don't pan out.
No.
Yeah, so he was here from 04 to 2010. Then he went to the Seahawks in 11, and then he was here in New England for the 2012. But he never made the actual roster. He was just off-season ad and was on the practice squad. Never really made anything of himself here in New England for the New England Patriots. I mean, he wasn't bad. Let's put it that way. I mean, he was still. It wasn't like a complete bust. He wasn't like Tony Mandarich, who was just absolutely useless.
Bust. You want to think one of the top 5 busts, him and Russell and I, but that's another story. But yeah, he's one of the top 5 busts in NFL history, Mandarich. But He wasn't bad. He was serviceable, but like I said, the expectation for him was like the next great tackle guard, offensive lineman in history. He was promoted as that, and we got him. I was like, I was happy, but it didn't turn out to be. He played all right, but we seen better.
Well, I mean, we even tried moving him around the line a little bit, and it just never panned out. It's too bad.
Yeah.
So all right. So at that time, the offensive line consisted of Gallery, Jake Grove, Adam Treyu, Brad Badger, and Barry Sims. Now Barry Sims worked out for us for a little while. Barry Sims wasn't too bad.
Yeah, he worked out okay.
Yeah, he was with us from 99 to 2007. Started 141 games, played in 174 total. He started with the Scottish Claymores, the
European League.
Was it the USFL? Yeah, whatever league that was overseas.
It was the that's when they had the European League teams overseas, Barcelona and all that stuff. Yeah.
What was the name of that league? Oh, the World League. That's what it was.
World League.
Yeah, World League of American Football, the WLAF.
Yeah. that didn't work out too long, but yeah, I remember that.
No, none of those leagues tend to last any long. But really, if you go through the list of guys from the early 2000s, it's really nothing that jumps out and go, oh yeah, don't forget this guy, don't forget that guy. Although you know what, Samson Satil, the guy that played center for us during that time frame, he wasn't bad. He had some good times, some good years here with us.
I said they weren't too bad, but they wasn't like groundbreaking, like dominant like some of the other offensive line workmen were, like when guys. It wasn't like that. Because you can tell from here we really started going downhill from here.
It's not, well, you know what it is? We were so used to big names all these years that it's like, God damn it. So like contributors during that time frame, I mean, yeah, you had guys like Langston Walker in that mix.
Right.
Stefan Wisniewski actually shows up at that point, I believe. Where is it? He came in where are you? 2011. So 2011, actually 2010, you had Langston Walker, Cooper Carlisle, Sam Satil, Robert Gallery playing left guard, and then that's when we had Velda here, the guy that they called the Hulk.
The Hulk.
That was a big motherfucker.
That dude was huge.
That's a guy I wish we still had. Well, not now, obviously, because I think he just retired last year or the year before.
Yeah, guys 6'8", 321 pounds. I think
the guy's a fucking monster.
Mondo, man.
And he played left tackle for us. He was good too. I liked him. And then the following year we had in 2011 is when Steve Wisniewski's nephew, Stefan Wisniewski, came in, and he was playing left guard, but then they moved him to center. I remember when they moved him to center, and it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the team was just in such disarray at that point. Wisniewski, when he was here, we had on offense, we had Carson Palmer, Michael Bush, Haywood Bay.
Hey, wait. Haywood Bay, the Hall of Famer, Haywood Bay?
Oh, yeah. Stone Hands himself, yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought.
And that was Haywood Bay's third year when Wisniewski was playing left guard.
Yeah, Darius Moore.
We had Kevin Boss was our tight end, and Brandon Myers. I mean.
Yeah, that team was all-stars,
Yeah. I mean, even the year before, when it was the 2010, you had Campbell, McFadden, Marcel Reese, Jacoby Ford, Haywood Bay, and Zach Miller.
Now, besides Haywood Bay, the rest of those guys, Jason Campbell, they were good. That was good. Reese was definitely good. Jacoby Ford was Alpha Kasi's favorite player.
Yeah.
Because here you'll say that. Those were good teams. But
let's look at it this way, right? So the 2010 season, right? I'm just looking at the overall because this is the year after Jamarcus Russell. Okay.
Right.
So 2010, we had that offense that we just listed, the skill positions. Then you had Veldahir, Gallery, Satil, Carlisle, and Langston Walker as your offensive linemen. On defense, you had Lamar Houston, Richard Seymour, Tommy Kelly, Trevor Scott. Linebackers were Mr.
McClain.
Superstar Rondo McLean, Cameron Wimbley, and Quentin Groves. And then in your secondary, you had Stanford Rout, Michael Huff, Tavon Branch, and Nnamdi Asamoah. So, I mean, if you look at it on paper, based on what we had, the team really didn't look that bad.
On paper, it didn't. No.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at shit, we had Nnamdi then, okay. Michael Huff was hit or miss. Branch was okay. Rout was all right.
We had Seymour Kelly. That's
and then you're just trying to figure out how we went 8-8. I mean, it was a respectable 500 record. It's like, how did we, without looking at the teams in the division, how did we not go further with that team?
Head coach. Who's the head coach?
I don't remember who it was at that time.
Tom Cable. Guess who's
was it Cable's season?
Yeah, Hugh Jackson was offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator was John Marshall. That was a DC. John Marshall.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not looking at that part of the list.
So the coaching staff was an all-star. It was not, so that could have been it too. We were third in the AFC.
Cooper Carlisle, if I mentioned it. I'll say it again. Cooper Carlisle.
On paper, like you said, on paper, it looked good. But the season didn't end that way.
Cooper Carlisle was here for a while. Let me bring his info up a little bit more.
Who, Cooper Carlisle?
Played in 190 games. That's right. He came from the Denver Broncos. Forgot about that. Let me see what they got on this guy, because I didn't look into this one.
Carlisle.
Let's see. He was here from 2007 to 2012. He spent 2000 to 06 with the Broncos. Signed with the Raiders as a restricted free agent in 2007 and remained a regular starter at right guard for the Raiders since the 07 season, replacing Kevin Booth from the previous season. He missed a start in only one game in 2008 he helped the Raiders achieve their best record since 2002, playing between Samson Satil at center and Langston Walker at right tackle. The Raiders released him in March of 2012, but re-signed him 5 days later. So, I mean, he was here for a little bit. I mean, he wasn't a bad player. Just one of those guys you just, don't remember sometimes,
Well, we get into that era where things would mix and match, and it was mix and match and trying to get guys in, guys out. So
yeah,
we'd have a stable, like you said, the center didn't change twice already.
Well, because 2013, 4-12 record. Terrell Pryor was the quarterback then. So we had Khalif Barnes, Lucas Nix, Stefan Wisniewski. Veldahir was gone already at this point.
Yeah.
So was Gallery. Mike Brissell and Tony Pashosh. I don't know how to say that. Yeah. And this is the year that Woodson came back to us too, 2013.
Yeah.
And we went 4-12. This was the final stretch of the Oakland seasons too.
Oh, this was Dennis Allen season. This was Dennis Allen coaching staff. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2014 was the first year with Carr. All right. So that offensive line I thought was better at this point for sure. You had Menelik Watson, Austin Howard. Those are your right guard and right tackle. Stefan Wisniewski at center still. Gabe Jackson at left guard and Donald Penn at left tackle.
That left side was stellar. Penn and Jackson held it down on the left side.
Yeah.
The right side was kind of suspect, but the left side was definitely pinned down.
Yeah. So Donald Penn, he was here from 2014 to 2019. Definitely was that steady veteran presence. And he led the offensive line, during those early years with Derek Carr, you know. So I liked Donald Penn.
And you know what he did too against his old team, right?
Huh?
You know what he did against his old team when the Raiders played the Buccaneers. You know what he did, right?
No, I don't
He
remember
called a
that.
touchdown pass.
Did he on that one? I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
When they went to Tampa Bay, I think it was the last season. I remember what it was the last year with us that they called a play. You know, they had to report to the official that he's eligible, and then a play designed for Donald Penn to catch a touchdown. He
Oh
called
yeah,
it.
his NFL career, he had 6 catches, 26 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he called it against his old team. That was funny.
It's funny, he was a Pro Bowler 2010, 16, and 17. So 2 out of those 3 Pro Bowls were when he was with us.
Oh, yeah.
So he was with the Vikings as a practice squad member in 06. Then he went to the Bucks, picked him up. He was with the Bucks from 06 to 13, with us from 2014 to 2018, and then he went to the Redskins for his final year.
Yeah. That's when
He was another solid guy that we had on that offensive line during that era. Like I said, the early what do you call it? Derek Carr era.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Yeah, then you had Gabe Jackson, who was good in his own right too. Gabe Jackson was good.
He
And then
was.
the 2015, Wisniewski was gone, and that's when Rodney Hudson came in as our center. And he was here for a little while too. Still had Gabe Jackson and Donald Penn on that left side. Then we had Jamarcus Webb and Austin Howard on the right side. Now Rodney Hudson, let's see, he came from Kansas City.
Right.
Kansas City got him in the second round. All right, Rodney Hudson. Here you are. So he was with the Chiefs from 11 to 14, and then he came to us. He was part of the Oakland, LA, Las Vegas team from 2015 to 2020. He had a pretty good career. I mean, second team All Pro in 2019, 3-time Pro Bowler, all with us, 2016, 17, and 19. So I mean, he made the Pro Bowl, made an All Pro. All of those accolades were why he was with us.
I thought he was one of the better centers after the era up to the 2000 was a debacle.
Yeah, well, he actually was at center for a while too for us. So he did. Where is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He spent 6 years at center.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a center from 2015 up to the 2020 season. And then in 2016 is when we brought in Osemele, because at that point, Gabe Jackson, we moved Gabe Jackson to right side. Donald Penn stayed left. Osemele was brought in to play left guard. Rodney Hudson was still our center at that point.
Center, yeah.
So that's 2016. 2017, offensive line stayed as is, for the exception of Marshall Newhouse. He replaced Austin Howard. That's 2017.
Going back to Osemele, he was one of those players you love to hate or hate to love. It's one of those players like, I guess some people when he left, they're like, "Yay!" And then when he left, like, why? It was like, I don't understand. I don't know what he was to us.
Oh, and we didn't even draft him. He actually was drafted by the Ravens.
Yeah.
He was a Ravens pick. Where is he? Here it is. So yeah, they had him from 2012 to 2015. He was only with us for a couple of years. Yeah. So 2016 to 2018 season with us. Then he went to the Jets for 2019 and the Chiefs in 2020. let's see. Funny, he made all first team All Pro in 2016 with us. Two-time Pro Bowlers 2016 and 17 with us. So pretty much the only time he was made any Pro Bowls of first team All Pros was with us.
16
He
and
didn't do
17.
anything with the other teams, which is
No.
kind of funny in a way if you think about it. All right, where was I here? So that was what year was that? We're at 2017. Yeah.
2017.
So 2017, and then 2018. And in 2018, again, Hudson was still our center. Osemele was our left guard. Gabe Jackson, right guard. Brandon Parker was our right tackle. And then that's just where Colton Miller came in.
Miller jumps in. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now,
everybody
before you get to
should
Miller,
be okay.
Well, before you get to Miller, let's talk about Parker for a minute.
Who?
Brandon Parker. What do you think about him when he came in?
Brandon Parker?
Yeah, he's right tackle.
We have him. What did we have him for? 1 fucking year?
2. And
that's right. He was a third rounder for us, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Wow, what do you know about him that I don't?
This man was on a team from Oakland to Vegas, right? He played serviceable, but to me, it seemed like he doesn't have that grit. That I don't know, something about him that he didn't seem like he was tough enough. He seemed soft. Let's put it like that. He seemed soft. As big as he is, he seems soft. Do you even notice that?
Yeah, 6'8". Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah, but he's saying he always plays soft to me. And I was one person like, why don't you just get rid of him? I think eventually he did leave, but
well, it shows you how much I remember of him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was here for 1 year. It's like, thank you.
No, he was there for 5 years.
No, he was here for a few years,
but
he wasn't listed as a starter. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. He was one of those guys like first let's start him. He's big. He's a big guy, 6'8", 320.
Yeah, he was on. All right, so he was on the starting. He was on the starting roster in 18, and then was a backup in 19, 20, 21. He was back as a starter. So 2 years as a replacement.
Yeah, and I say why he's not starting because the biggest guy is. You think he'll be a starter, but he wasn't. Anyway, I just want to bring him up, but you can go back to where you left off at Colton Miller. I just want to bring him up a minute. He was like hey, welcome to the show here, boy, and Chihuahua. Yeah, he was like a swing backup. Pretty much was a backup.
Yeah. So we were at Colton Miller now. Yeah, Colton Miller.
Boy? Hey, give me a kiss.
I mean, that's your boy. What's up, Chihuahua? Yeah.
What?
I was saying, hello, these guys pulled up. We should have kept Johnson.
You made me put in Brandon Parker. I got to go back to Colton.
Oh, I just want to bring him. You gotta pull him up. I pulled him up.
I pulled him up because I wanted to make sure I was kind of following along where you were going. I was looking to see if there was anything.
I was saying because I know you don't remember him because I say I remember him, and I wonder why this big guy is so dang soft.
So obviously, the next one here is Colton Miller. So Colton Miller, we actually drafted first round, 15th overall pick in 2018. He's been with us from 2018 till now. I know there's been talk about him, at the point where he wasn't at the voluntary training camps and all that, and he wants an extension, all that. Well, he reported last week, so he's there now. So there's no issues as far as I'm concerned. He's a reliable cornerstone of the offensive line. He was a little rough out of the gate when he first came to us, but as far as I'm concerned, I mean, it's the best left tackle we've had in a long time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, remember he started as a rookie, so come from UCLA.
Yeah,
he started as a rookie.
Talk about being,
and he's on the side, the blind side. So you got the best defensive ends, the best guys on that side rushing the quarterback. Yep. So you have to learn a few things.
Yep. So it's like I'm fine with him being where he is. I have no problem with the guy. I think he's excellent. I have no desire to see him get replaced, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hope we do something with it because he's a free agent at the end of the season. So at the end of the 2025 season, he'll be a free agent. So we either got to work something out with him prior to the season starting, or at some point before the season end, get him wrapped up before the season's over. Don't let it go beyond,
free agency.
To where he's going to start testing the waters. Because left tackles, man, they're so hard to get in the
They're
first
rare.
place.
Good left tackles are hard to find. Good left tackles. And, he started as a rookie and he's been playing starting ever since.
Yeah.
Minus the injuries, but other than that, if people say, well, Colt Mills is washed up, Jeff, you play O-line, right? Tell people what happens when your arm is shoulder stuff hurting when you're playing tackle.
Well, if you're playing, if you're playing left tackle, if you can't get your left arm up fast enough, to disrupt that rusher that's coming in on the outside, you're behind the 8 ball right from the get-go, plain and simple. You're that left arm is everything, because you've got help to the right. If they cut inside, you can just pinch them between you and your guard. Use the leverage of that body. Once he gets outside you and you can't get a hand on him, you're fucked. You're fucked.
And that's what most of the speed rushers line up on Colt Mills' side. All the guys that go around, on his side.
Yep. So yeah, we got to get him under contract again, because there ain't nothing out there that's going to be able to replace him right now. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Not right now.
So Colton Miller, hopefully he's here to stay. Again, left tackles don't grow on trees, man. And it's not so simple. Just go to the draft and pick one up.
Not good one.
Go to the left tackle store and pick up an offensive left tackle. Good luck.
Yeah, that's that's right. That's right next to the greatest quarterback store, right across the street.
Go find that one.
You might get one of those, you might go in and get a BOFO, buy one get one free.
Did you say a BOGO?
But the BOGO or BOFO, whatever it's called.
Yeah, buy one get one. All right, so now then we bring in also that same year. Was it the same year?
18.
Go back.
No, 19. I think you're going next.
Where are we? Yeah, we're at 2019. So 2019, we bring in Trent Brown. So we have an offensive line consisting of incognito. We have Trent Brown, Gabe Jackson, Rodney Hudson, still our center, Colton Miller playing the left side in his second year, and Richie Incognito on the left guard. So Trent Brown was drafted by the 49ers, 7th round. He was there from 2015 to 2017. Then he went to the Patriots for a year. Then he came to us. Won a Super Bowl with New England, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a steady contributor. He was just kind of there.
He didn't want to be here. You can tell.
No, he wanted nothing to do with being here.
He went out of here. That's why he didn't play as hard and do as hard as we want to go. You can tell in his face.
Yep.
So,
in this next guy I want to talk about, I've always said this. There's certain players in the NFL that should have been Raiders from day one. This next guy, without a doubt,
oh my God,
is the type of guy that should have been a Raider from day one, and that's Incognito. Obviously he's controversial. He's physical, intense. I know there was issues with him supposedly being, racist and everything, and what he did, or homophobic, whatever it was that happened in Miami. He's kind of like, I guess he's kind of like controlled chaos, basically, is what it is.
He was homophobic and all that stuff. That was his personal life, but
yeah. on the field, he was a hell of a player, man. He was effective when he was with us. Yeah. He had that tenacity. He reminded me of Wisniewski in a way, but not the unpleasantry part, like the stuff that you're in the papers for in the wrong way. But as far as a player and his tenacity and just his physical intensity, I guess you'd say, the fucking guy was ridiculous.
Well, they kicked him out. They kicked him out the league in 2014. They said you
yeah,
gotta go. Yeah, 1 year.
yeah.
Get it.
And then he finally was able to
It
come back and play.
It was too much. There's too much NFL can handle because the NFL was starting to trying to get that image built up again. Like there's too much to do. You got to go.
Yep. He didn't last long with us. Between injuries and just other players coming on the scene, I guess he was limited for his time with us. So I mean,
but he did bring that toughness back to the line, to the old line.
He did, and this is why I wish he was still able to. How old was he when he retired? How old is he now? Yeah, he's 41, so he
41.
definitely retired at the right age.
Right.
So he was with the Rams from 05 to 09, Buffalo in 09, the Dolphins from 2010 to 2013. Then he went back to the Bills in 2015 and 2017, and then he was off for a couple of years. Came back into the league in 2019, and that's when we got him until 2021 when he finally called it quits.
Right.
He made 4 Pro Bowls, 2012, and then 2015 to 2017. He was a hell of a player. He really was.
I liked him.
Started 164 games, played in 164. So I mean, he still had a good career as far as I'm concerned.
He was durable. He was very durable. He had towards the end had a little couple nagging injuries, but he was durable. For that position he played and how he played. He played.
Yeah.
He played. People saying like JPJ remind him of Incognito because he plays through the whistle. Because Cognito wouldn't. I mean, he hear the whistle, he still keep going. He had stop, dude. The whistle blew. Stop. That's how he played.
Yeah. So,
we going to the downfall now.
Yeah, we're into the. I think we're into the bad of this.
Almost.
I guess you would say.
Almost.
You know what? There's one thing I did leave off about Rodney Hudson when we did talk about him is to how smart he was too. He was a smart player. A couple different little accolades that I missed on some of these guys. His technique, I mean, basically he was like a technician out there. Colton Miller, another attribute for Colton Miller is you don't see him mouthing off. You don't see him, out there on social media posting shit. When was the last time you heard anything from Colton Miller? Talking bad about a teammate or nothing.
No, you don't hear anything from
quiet. He's that quiet, confident leader. Something every team needs. That's him for this team. Max is the vocal, knock you around, punch you in the face type of guy. Like that. That's how he gets people psyched up. Colton Miller is that quiet leader on that offensive line. He's the captain for a reason.
You call him a gentle giant. He doesn't roar, does anything.
Yeah,
just one of those guys.
He's like that old, speak softly, carry a big stick. That's Miller.
Yeah.
I don't need to say much to get my point across. I'll do that on the field.
Yep. Exactly.
I don't need to come to the sideline and be a dick. But I see someone already mentioned one of the names that we're going to talk about next. Good old Andre Gannon.
We're getting there.
So now we're kind of at the weak point for this offensive line outside of Miller. So if we go
Miller
from 2020, this was our offensive line in 2020, and then we're going to compare it to the year after. Okay. So 2020, we had Sam Young at right tackle, Gabe Jackson at right guard, Rodney Hudson at center, Denzel Good at left guard, and Colton Miller at left tackle. Right. Then 2021 came.
Yep.
And we had Colton Miller at left tackle, John Simpson at left guard, Brandon Parker at right tackle, and then our center was Andre James, and our right guard was Alex Leatherwood. Yeah.
The beginning of the end.
Yep.
This was good. This was good.
So this is under the list of busts and disappointments. All right. So he was a first rounder with high expectations, but struggled mightily. Cut after one season. Bust status, one and done disaster. He was
What?
horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Horrible.
And again, a first round pick for this bum.
Yeah, but
This
check it out,
guy-
though. Check it out. He played for us for 2021, and then he played for Chicago 2022, and then he played for.
Where'd you go?
I'm here.
You stopped talking.
Yeah, because he played for nobody else. I say he played for us, then with Chicago. Then that's it.
Oh, all right. I get the
2
joke.
years in the
Well, I'm
league.
not looking at the camera. I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking at
Oh, okay.
stat lines and
So
so
he played.
we
2
took
years.
him in the first round with the number 17 pick overall. Let's just go back and let's look at what was picked ahead of him or after him. Okay, so where are we here? So we
What year?
picked where are
2021.
we? We're 17. So we picked Alex Leatherwood. Okay,
Right.
so we're gonna read some of these names that were picked after him. Some may not be that great, some might be, but we'll see.
Hold on a
So
minute.
if we
Yeah,
look at
Chihuahua.
offensive,
Chihuahua. I'm sorry to cut you off. As far as we know, he's out the league. So I just want to make sure to you before you get started. I think he's out the league because there's nothing else on him. Okay, I'm sorry. Go
who
ahead.
Leatherwood?
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. He's not. He did. Nobody touched him.
Okay. Sorry about that.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So here's what was taken after him. So at number 17, he gets picked. Then there's Jalen Phillips, defensive line. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from the Giants. Quiddy Pay, who I would have rather had because that kid was from Rhode Island. He was from URI. Christian Darasaw, offensive lineman. Najee Harris, running back. Travis Etienne, running back.
Uh-huh.
Rashad Bateman. Now we're into the second round. What's here for offensive lineman? Tevin Jenkins, Landon Dickerson. We picked at number 43 in the second. Liam Eichenberg, Richie Grant. So and then Tavon Mooring we took in number 43. Okay, so there's not from that pick until our next pick in the second round. There's not a lot of big names. I mean, there is. I mean, you're talking Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Darashaw. I wouldn't mind having. Kadarius Toney's decent.
Yeah.
Quiddy Pay's injured though. That's the problem with him. But what I'm getting at is we didn't need to grab him so soon.
No,
that was way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early. You know, he was slated to go. Where is this? What's this? Yeah, he shouldn't have gone that high. He should have been way later in the draft.
Yeah, that was when the draft be like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those
You know,
things.
I just think of some of these picks that we made during this era. Let me see if there's any offensive linemen that were picked after him that are still worth anything. I never looked into it this deep before until right now, so I'm just curious. I don't think so. Unless somebody surprises me and yells out a name. Yeah, I don't see anybody that like jumps out.
So she still could pick him later and got probably a decent O-line.
And it would, you know what? And if he didn't pan out, no big deal, you know. But when you pick him so early, and he's such a bust, it's like that's just a horrible thing. I still get sick to my stomach when I think about that. I mean, it wasn't a highly talented draft that year, you know.
No, it wasn't. But still, we could have waited, got something. Could have got Najee Harris. I know we had what you call him on the team, Josh Jacobs, but another running back would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to go. I'm just talking about the quality of talent that was still there. You know, would we have picked him? No. I mean, we had Derek Carr there. We had Josh Jacobs, Brian Edwards, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller. Our offense was decent in the skill positions. You know,
it was decent. There's one guy on there that looks as though it was a buzzball. When we get to receiver, we'll talk about him later. But other than that, he still could have picked something else.
Yeah. And then Andre James, obviously, there's the other guy. I mean,
Say it. Go ahead, say
I,
it.
I didn't like him. I never liked him. I couldn't wait for him to go. It was just like so happy to see him just be off the team now.
Well, who
I don't
signed?
want to see people. I hate to see people lose their jobs. I don't want that to happen to them.
He lose job. He got another gig. But I'm saying that who getting an extension?
Yeah, but I mean, lose their job from the team that they're already on. You know what I mean? It's like and you would think you would have been okay too, following in that footstep of Colton Miller coming from UCLA. Just I just I don't get it. He was undrafted, so that should tell you something right there. Okay. He's with us from 2019 to 2024. The Chargers now have him. Good luck. Have fun. Enjoy it. And he was there when Colton Miller was there too. So he was a member of the Bruins, right? He was redshirted his true freshman season. He became a starter during his redshirt freshman season following an injury to Colton Miller. James started the final 32 games of his collegiate career, appearing in 35 games total. As a redshirt junior, he made the decision to play in the Bruins' Week 7 game against Arizona and continue his consecutive game started streak despite his father passing away of cancer earlier that week.
Oh, wow. You know that.
Yeah. So he declared for the NFL draft on December 18th, foregoing his final season of NCAA eligibility. Should have stayed in another year and gained one more year of experience. Might have come out too soon, maybe. And he's only 28. I mean, he is young.
He's young still.
That's is he coachable? Maybe. In the right system with the right people, maybe he's different. I don't know. But it just didn't pan out for us. It really didn't. So that was 2021. Good.
Could it be a victim of the coaching changes in the offensive line? That could be a possibility.
Yeah, but he wasn't that good beforehand though either. So
I'm trying to get an excuse.
I think he was named the center prior to because there was just nobody else that was Hudson was gone. Who else are we going to put in? Well, he's on the roster. What are we going to do? Let's get him in there.
What's up, Raider Paul?
And then we get to 2022. I mean, 2022, 2023, they're pretty much the same. So 2023 and 2022, we're just going to loop these two together because it's Colton Miller, it's Andre James, it's Jermaine Elmunor, Alex Bars. The only add is the only change is Simpson out, and now Dylan Parham is in. But it's unfortunate. We're going to end up having to keep him. Right?
It's going to be
just by default because of the need for depth. Because we got nobody as a backup center.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to be a backup more than anything else. He's going to be a backup center guard. That's all he's going to be. Yeah. I don't think he's going to start. I think other guys are going to start, but
we're talking about now. Look at the difference. He's a 3rd-round pick in the 2022 draft, and he was a starter, I think, because of injury and just depth issues. Whereas Glaze was a 3rd-rounder and was almost airholed to fucking start right away.
Yeah,
two totally different style players. Is he going to make it for us again this year? Yeah, I don't think you're going to. As much as I wanted to see him go, we got to keep somebody. What's up, Ray Paul?
I think
we got to keep somebody to back up JPJ. We have
I think it's worth keeping them for a backup role just for like the center position and maybe the guard position for maybe like somebody get a stinger that come off a couple plays. That's it. That's what I think his role should be. He shouldn't start the games at all. You should come in like, hey, the guy, you got a pinched nerve, you got to come off for a couple plays, or he got winded. Go in there, just do that, come back out. That's all you should do. That's
so. And now we move to 2024. So in 2024, we had a hell of a draft. We drafted obviously Brock Bowers with our first pick. Then we followed up with JPJ in the second round. And then in the third round, we grabbed DJ Glaze. All three are starters now. All three had significant roles with this team last year.
Yep.
All three should be starters again this coming season for 2025. JPJ should be that next line of, long-term great centers for us. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think he wants to leave this team. I think he's the type that wants to be here, a Raider forever.
Well, his family
truly wants to be here.
I think his grandfather, his uncle, or something like that, whatever, dedicated Raider fans. So
yeah,
it's to be a Raider.
And I think I get that same feeling for Glaze. You know what it is? I think it's a combination of them wanting to be here, and the fans genuinely appreciate both of them. They both admire both players. You don't hear anybody talk shit about either one of them.
Nope.
They're extremely well liked players.
Yep.
Brock Bowers, everybody's in love with him. I mean, there's probably guys out there that want to fucking give him a blowjob. They love him so much.
Watch it. Hey, but you know what? Like I said, you talk about that. But then you mentioned Alton James and Parham. Everybody's like, oh. But you talk about Blaze and JPJ, like, yay. So,
I like JPJ. I think the kid's got a great career ahead of him, and I think Glaze does too. No matter where we keep him, if he stays on the right side, he'll be great. If we move him to the left side, I think he'll still be great.
They move to guard. He'll still be good.
I'm happy with this offensive line. And then we fast forward to what we just did in the draft this year. I mean, you're talking about, the potential here to add to that offensive line in a good way. With what we just picked up. I'm scrolling down here. Let me catch up with these.
Get there. No, I don't want to do that.
So not only do we have JPJ and Glaze, now you bring in Caleb Rogers,
Right.
third round pick in 05. He's another good player. Could he make it into the starting roster? Possible. You never know. It depends on how much he can be coached during the offseason. Then you got Charles Grant. These two guys were picked number 98 and 99 in the third round. After we moved back and traded for some picks and we gained some extra picks in the third round. And they're both. I think they both could develop into key contributors without a doubt. One's a guard, one's a tackle. Something's got to stick.
Well, they both played tackle in college, but Pete Carroll came out. Rogers is going to be the guard. Point blank. That's all he said.
That's how they got him listed on here. They got him listed as a guard. So
yeah, but he played tackle in college. But I think he played both positions actually.
He did play guard in college too. But again, that transition from tackle to guard is an easier transition than going from guard to tackle. I know somebody brought this up last night on a show. They asked us what we thought the offensive. Yeah, Ducky, we did at the start. We talked about Derek Carr at the very beginning of the show. What our thought for the offensive starting line was. And, it's obviously going to be the tackles, Glaze and Miller, JPJ at center. So the question is, who's going to be our guards? Is one of these, was it Rogers, right? Did I say Rogers?
Rogers.
Yeah, Rogers. Is Rogers going to somehow work his way into a starting spot in one of the guard positions? Possible. Can't say definitely no. I mean, did anybody think DJ Glaze was going to be a starter during the season last year at the beginning? No.
As a matter
I thought
of fact,
JPJ was going to be.
As a matter of fact, when they drafted Glaze, I heard a lot of Raider Nations like, Glaze, who is Glaze? What's this guy? Why are we drafting him? Then all of a sudden, like, everybody's a Glaze in there now. Everybody's on a Glaze bandwagon.
Yeah, so, I didn't expect that.
I didn't either.
That worked out, obviously. Could it work out with one of these new rookies? Yeah, it's possible. You never know. But then it's, what's Kappa going to have in the tank? What's he going to bring to the table? Is he going to be a possibility to be, taking one of those spots? It's possible. He had a bad year last year. He's got the veteran experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He protected the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL and Brady for his time in Tampa. So it's all about what fits best for the scheme, what fits best, to protect their quarterback and that high price commodity right now in Genty. It's all about keeping Geno Smith on his feet, not on his back,
Exactly.
and keeping the open lanes for Genty to run the ball. That's all that matters. You got a simple job. Block the guy in front of you.
Keeping Geno from having to run around the pocket, looking for somebody.
That's what we don't want. If Geno's got too much time scrambling, or if he's scrambling too much, then that's not a good thing. Then that means the line's not doing their job.
Yeah,
plain and simple. So I'm gonna go through and just recap real quick here. Yeah. So we've got the legends of the offensive line and what we consider royalty. So that's obviously Jim Otto, with us from 1960 to 1974. Gene Upshaw from 67 to 81. And then Art Shell from 62 to 82, 68 to 82. Those three guys right there solidified that offensive line from the 60s straight up until obviously the 80s with Shell and Upshaw. Was the main successful reason why we won Super Bowls when we did. It's unfortunate Otto retired when he did. Would have liked to have seen him win a Super Bowl as an active player.
2 years later, they got a Super Bowl, huh?
Yeah.
2 years later.
Well, and then what's also
1 second, Craig. Somebody's in the chat. Okay, Celine, she wants to say happy birthday to her friend Wendy. I don't know. Do you need about Celine? So it's up to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Wendy. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Chat lives matter.
Interrupted me.
I said.
Plus another guy that actually I honestly think, and I'm sure some others will think that should be part of like the Raiders royalty or legends of the offensive line. You got to throw Steve Wisniewski in there.
He should be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he should be. He should be. The other three that are in there are all Hall of Famers. Right. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. Just look at his statistics as far as his achievements. 8 Pro Bowls. He wasn't there to win a Super Bowl. He didn't win a Super Bowl in his time frame there, but he was still one of the great offensive linemen of his era. I mean, he made the 90s, all 90s team. So he was there from 89 to 2001. And then the next grouping is what you consider the backbone, the guys that really, during some of the troubling years and some of the better years, were really instrumental in his team. Lincoln Kennedy's the first one that comes to mind from 96 to 2003 at right tackle. Bat Robbins, even though he had his off-field issues, was still a tremendous center. And that long line of iconic centers for this team, minus that little personal issue he had from 1995 to 2003, he was there.
Yeah.
That's a long stretch again. Next one up would be Donald Penn, 2014, 2019. Yeah, we got him later in his career, but while he was here, he protected Derek Carr.
He did.
He was the left tackle. He was the leader of the offensive line, just like every left tackle or center should be. They're the ones that usually are the field boss, basically, for the line. Mm-hmm. Next one up after that would be Rodney Hudson. He was our center from 2015, 2020. Was a super smart guy. Definitely contributed.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that he left. I don't know what deals up. They didn't want to pay him, so he goes to Arizona, and he solidified that line of scrimmage for Arizona Cardinals. Solidified it in 1 year, and then he said, "Well, we should have him."
And now the next one you look at, guys that are considered as solid contributors, reliable, respected type players. First one comes to mind is Colton Miller. From 2018 to now, he's been the left tackle, been the leader and the captain of that offensive line. Then you got Richie Incognito, who was here for a short time with us, but brought that tenacity back to the team and that killer instinct that you needed. And he was your left guard from 2019, 2021. Thea Mumford, which is probably surprising that you hear me say Thea Mumford or Jordan Meredith. Both of them are on that list as far as reliable guys. Mumford, 7th round pick. He's developed into a reliable option at right tackle or even at guard if needed. Same thing with Meredith. But Meredith was undrafted. He came in as a free agent.
But Upshaw can play. He played better at left tackle than right tackle. Mumford did.
Yeah.
So he could be a good one of those good backup guys on tackles on both sides of the fields. So one of the guys like he can come in there.
I know they got Parham listed in this group too with the reliable and respected. I'm going to agree with this. I know this is so out of the norm for me to even say this about him based on how I've talked about him for so long. Only because I've come to grips that I know we need a backup in case, God forbid, something happens to JPJ. We need to make sure we've got something in place, and he's the next best thing that we have in place. It's either him or Meredith. After that, I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do. So that covers that group, and then the next one is that emerging talent type guys. It's you got JPJ, you got DJ Glaze, you got Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant. The two guys we just drafted, Rogers and Grant, could step up at some point and become, anchors for this offensive line. Part of that backbone that we need, along with Glaze and JPJ, and if Colt Miller's still here. So the future's bright. There's no two ways about it. The future for the offensive line is bright based on what we've got in-house right now for talent, as far as I'm concerned. Some people
what you can say is that these guys, the ones just drafted, the UDFAs, you got some too, so a couple guys UDFAs too.
Yeah.
They don't have to start this year. They can sit behind and learn. You know what I'm saying? And plus, we got the Philbin who's doing offensive line. I think he did a good job last year. So they can sit and learn by Colton Miller. Well, JPJ is only 1 year, second year, and Glaze, same thing, second year. But they only had that 1 year experience. So everybody's still learning. That's a good thing about this. They don't have to desperate. Gotta get this guy in now, like they did with Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah.
They brushed him in.
Well, I was just going to hit that one too. I'm going to hit the real quick the disappointments, the ones that we had. Not all of them, but I had high hopes for one guy, and it just was a definite unmet expectation. So there's only 3 on this list that I think would be fitting. Is the first one is Robert Gallery. He was here for 6 years, never lived up to the hype. Was serviceable. He was a good player. He just wasn't. He wasn't what you thought he was going to be. You don't pick a guy that high in the draft, second round overall in the first round, and then he just becomes a fill player. Like, he'll be good over here, or he'll be good over here. No, he'll be great over here. This is where he's going to stop for the next 10 to 15 years. 6 years and he's off our team. Next one would be Tony Bergstrom. 3rd round pick. He failed to secure a starting role with his time with the Raiders. Short-lived, 3 years here with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one, the biggest bust of them all on offensive line, probably the biggest bust, in my opinion, outside of Jamarcus Russell, is Leatherwood. The fact that where he was picked in the first round, number 17 overall, and how he just couldn't even pan out at all.
I agree. He couldn't even stay. He couldn't even go to a team and stay on a team. Play for 2 teams, is out the league. Yeah, I agree with that. Total bust.
So that's pretty much the history of the Raiders offensive line through the years, right from 1960 right straight up to current time with the draft picks that we just had a couple of weeks ago. So I hope that kind of was entertaining. You guys learned something.
And offensive line is not a sexy position for anybody, but you got to remember, offensive line is very important to the offense. If they don't protect, block, you're not scoring, you're not doing any damn thing. And that's why this is Jeff's show, because he was an offensive lineman, so he knows more about it than I do.
You got, I guess we're pretty much at the end here. So I've got one more thing I want to add at the very end, but you got anything coming up? You doing a show with Jason tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time with Radio Nation Jason. Okay. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock.
I will be on tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock my time, 10:30 Eastern time, a.m. I'm playing
Tecmo.
I'm playing against Afakasi. We're doing a Tecmo Bowl challenge.
Is it a Vegemite?
We have something on the line for this.
Is it Vegemite?
No, I don't have it. So I can't play for Vegemite if I don't have it.
I'll send it to you. I'll order some. Send it to you.
Well, I gotta get it. I can get it through Amazon. I will get it. I will do it. So tomorrow we're doing a best out of 5. If I beat him just one time, he said he will purchase 5 memberships from my account.
Yeah.
If I forget if what was his thing? If he beats me, I forget what it is.
Is he still in here?
I owe him 5. So either way, I don't care. If I
No.
lose, I lose. I don't. It's not a big deal. I'll do it. Doesn't faze me. So, just a reminder to everybody. I know Chris and I usually do this show every Saturday night at this time, from 9 p.m. until usually we're 2 hours, so we're a few minutes over, which isn't bad. Again, it's a lot of positions to cover. Next week is the big show in Bakersfield. Obviously, I'm not going to be going. I'm still in Rhode Island on the East Coast.
Take the red eye. Come on.
Yeah,
I'll buy you. I'll get you.
You gonna pay for it?
Yeah, I got. Oh, the red eye? No, I can't pay for that. if you get on a Greyhound, if they still exist, it'll take you about a week. You get here.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock East, 10 o'clock
a.m.
Pacific time. A.m.
Yeah, Western.
So it'll be 1 o'clock Eastern, my time.
Right.
So Chris is going to Bakersfield next Saturday. There's pretty much no way he's going to get back home in time for us. So we're not going to do a last call podcast on Saturday night. I will be going on live next Saturday night, though, with the intent to send the link to these guys that are going to be in Bakersfield. So if any of them want to pop in from their phones while I'm on, they can at least get in and, we can talk about the event and everything and do whatever, we'll just do a Saturday night show is what it basically will become.
Okay.
So I just want to say this one thing about tonight. So this is the final thoughts on this podcast on this. From Hall of Famers like Otto, Upshaw, and Shell, the promising young talents of Miller and JPJ and Glaze for the Raiders' offensive line history is rich with stories of dominance, resilience, and occasional disappointment. As the team continues to build its trenches, the legacy of these linemen serves as both a foundation and a benchmark for future success. Like some of us have said, everything starts in the trenches, and which is why I was so adamant about making sure on the draft we covered the offensive line. Do I feel like we covered it thoroughly? No. Did we address it? Yes.
Yeah, I think we did.
So at this point, we just have to hope that these kids that we drafted this year can turn into something just like the prior year with our other draft picks from offensive line, and it'll be good.
But like I said, the good news about that is they don't have to start right away. They can sit and learn and watch and wait. If they do start now, that means they're better than the guys we already had, which is also a good thing, So I think we're winning on that issue.
So on that note, folks, we will see you all when we see you. Chris, remember, is on tomorrow morning, tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be on at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. I don't know if I'll be streaming from my channel. You may just have to come over to Afakasi. It's Afakasi Raider on YouTube. If you don't have it, look it up. You'll be able to find it. And till next time, everybody, stay safe. And what, Chris?
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you all.
Guys. Thank you.